Now that you know how to get into college, we're going to take a look at how you might pay for college. So in this portion of our presentation, we're going to talk about specifically about financial aid. We're going to cover some terms and go over the basic process, how to apply. This is an overall summary, so if you have done this before, you know how complex it can be. If you haven't done this before, there's going to be a lot of information that we're going to broach over. So if you have specific questions, we're happy to take them in the Q&A. And if you have questions that are specific about your personal financial or tax situation, we are going to refer you to our resources page for where to get filing help. And we'll also share some events at the end of the presentation or at the end of my part of the presentation that will show you where you can go to get some actual help with the application. So the first thing we're going to look at is, what is financial aid? Financial aid is money to help you pay for your students' post-high school plans. It can be used for four-year schools, two-year, technical, along with some certificate or apprenticeship programs. Financial aid comes in four main categories: grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. Grants are income-based. They come from both federal and state and institutional funds. This is money which you do not have to pay back. Scholarships are merit and income-based, and they come from public, private, and not-for-profit sources. Scholarships also do not need to be paid back. Work study is income-based. It's federal and state, and it allows students the opportunity to work off campus and on campus, usually in a community service area or in an area that's related to their program of study. Loans, of course, are still income-based. They're federal and private sources of funding. You do need to pay these back with interest, and there are different kinds of loans available based on your financial qualifications and also financial need. So those are the types of financial aid. Let's discuss the sources. Federal financial aid is from the U.S. Department of Education, and it can be used at most colleges. State financial aid is for residents to attend colleges in their own state. So for us, Washington State, they do not necessarily have to be public colleges, but they do have to be eligible to receive financial aid. There are over 60 of these institutions in Washington State, so check with the admissions office of the school your child is thinking about, or you can check with the college and career counselors, which are us, for more information. Institution or college aid is offered by a specific institution or college. Every college or institution has their own scholarships that they offer to students who have been admitted to their school. These can be found on the college's individual financial aid page. Organizations that offer financial aid tend to be scholarships, or there are also private loans from banks. We encourage you with your child to view as many scholarships as possible. It's a busy time of year, but it's really important to see how many scholarships they can qualify for. Some are income-based, but some are also not income-based and are interest-based. So it will greatly reduce the amount of loan or paycheck that the amount of loan you have to repay or the amount you have to pay up front. Most scholarships do not charge a fee, and this is important to know, because if you are being charged, please do the research to make sure the scholarship is legitimate. You can find a list of scholarships that have been vetted on the wash.org site. And again, that site is listed in the references packet that will be on our webpage after the presentation. So, applying for financial aid, you're going to start with one main application, either the FAFSA or the WASPA, and you've heard this alluded to earlier in the presentation. The FAFSA and the WASPA both opened on October 1st. Most financial aid funds are on a first-come, first-served basis, so the sooner you apply, the greater chance your child has of acquiring financial aid. The FAFSA, or the Free Application for Student Aid, is a form completed by current and prospective students, college students in the United States. This application determines your eligibility for financial aid, and you'll want to choose the FAFSA if you are a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. This will also be used to determine your child's state financial aid eligibility. And I should have said that if your child is a US citizen or permanent resident. If your child is ineligible for federal aid, they will complete the WASPA. This is the Washington application for state financial aid, and it is for undocumented individuals or other select applicants. Washington State offers financial aid programs to students who cannot file or do not wish to file a federal FAFSA financial aid application for various reasons. If you are unsure which of these you should use, there is a quick survey or questionnaire on the website readysetgrad.org. Again, that resource and that link is listed in our packet of information. And if you go there, you can take a quick survey and it will help you discover which one of these you should use. Examples of federal financial aid programs. Federal student aid can be used to pay for all expenses, room and board, tuition, fees, books, and supplies. The Pell Grant is an income-based grant. This is the maximum federal Pell Grant award for this academic year was $6,345. The amount you received is based on what is called your expected family contribution. And we'll discuss this a little bit more in a later slide. Federal Work Study provides students with part-time jobs for undergraduate and graduate students who have financial need. This allows them to earn money to help pay education expenses. The program encourages community service, work, and work related to the student's course of study. These jobs are on and off campus, and one of the good things about these jobs is that they don't count against the student when they apply using the FAFSA the next year. If you apply for financial aid, you may be offered student loans as part of your financial aid offer. And of course, most of us by now at this age know that a loan is money that you borrow and you must pay back with interest. If you decide to take out a loan, make sure you understand who is making the loan and the terms and conditions of the loan. Student loans come from the federal government and from private sources such as a bank or financial institution. And as soon as your child starts applying for colleges, you will start to see these show up at your house. So you will know, you'll see what I mean when I say banks and financial institutions. Everybody starts sending you, take a loan from us. It's important that you check out who is making these loans and what the terms are. Federal loans have more benefits than private loans in that they offer different times when you can start paying them back, and then also different terms and conditions. There are also parent loans. I should say student loans will have limits on how much your student can take each year. Parent loans can be bigger. They are taken out by you, the parent, to pay for the student's expenses. These usually require credit checks and some income requirements. They're not available to all parents. It depends on your income level and your credit. And you should know that repayment on these usually begins right away. The state financial aid that is offered is called Washington Opportunity Pathways. And these are financial aid programs open only to Washington residents to be used at eligible colleges only in Washington state. There is the Washington College Grant. It's the largest income-based grant. This amount depends on what type of school you attend and what your financial need is. There is the College Bound Scholarship, which is an early commitment of state financial aid to cover certain college costs. So it doesn't cover all costs. Students must have signed up in middle school and they must remain eligible throughout high school. State work study is similar to the federal work study program, but the funding comes from Washington state versus the federal government. It follows the same pattern where it does not count against the student in the next year's income levels, and the jobs are on and off campus. Passport to Careers is a program that provides additional resources for foster youth and homeless youth. There is also the Opportunity Grant, and it is awarded to students who wish to attend a 2-year community or technical college. Let's see, getting started with FAFSA. Once you start when you're ready to start your FAFSA application, go to fafsa.gov and you will click on the Create an FSA ID link. The student will have one FSA ID and one parent will have their own FSA ID. It's a little confusing at first, but once you walk through it, it'll make some sense. If the student is completing the FAFSA, but you as parents are undocumented and don't have a social security number, then the student will put in all zeros for the parent's social security number. These applications will need to be printed, and you'll actually have to physically sign the signature page, and those will be mailed to the Department of Education instead of signing online. So the FSA ID that you create and that your child creates is like your digital signature. That's going to be you signing the paperwork online for the information that you provide on the FAFSA. To complete the FAFSA, you'll need your name, date of birth, social security, contact information, and then you'll create challenge questions, just like you do for most online profiles. You will use your 2019 tax records, and that helps colleges get the information earlier because they don't have to wait for the current year's taxes. So you'll use 2019 tax records, savings, and untaxed income to help you fill out the FAFSA form. In your application, you're going to designate to which schools you want FAFSA to send your student aid information to. You're going to review your information and you're going to read and accept all the terms. You will use your FAFSA ID to sign and file the FAFSA right away. So it can take a little bit of time, but once you get through it, you can sign it and submit it right away. This is your legal signature, so you should not share it with anyone. And it's important to remember to use one email address per person. So the parent uses one email, the student uses another email, and we've encouraged students not to use their school email, and then maybe not to use their email from elementary or middle school, and take the opportunity to create a new email that's professional that they can use for admissions and financial aid. After you complete the FAFSA or the WASPA, what happens next? First, you must check the status of your application. For FAFSA, you'll go to fafsa.gov and you will want to check the status. It will either say processing, processed successfully, missing signatures, or action required. You will want to follow up if you are missing anything or there is further action, because you won't get the report of your financial aid until that is complete. Once you have completed and everything has been processed, you will receive a student aid report. This is a summary of the FAFSA data you just submitted. Occasionally, you'll be asked to provide verification, and if you are selected for verification, then your school to which your child is attending will request additional documentation that supports the information you reported. And that'll make more sense if you are asked for verification, because they'll just name the documents they want to see. If you've had changes from the time that you completed your 2019 taxes, if you've had job changes or income changes, you're going to want to let the schools know that the tax form may not accurately reflect your current financial situation. You'll go directly to the college admissions office for that. Once this is all done, you'll receive a financial aid offer, or what we call an award letter, from the schools to which your child was admitted, letting you know what your financial aid offer will be. At that point, you'll want to compare aid and offers and then decide which one to accept. And then hopefully you and your child will be on the same page with what that one is. There's a couple of terms we want to cover because these can be confusing, and it's okay if you don't pick this all up right now. There's plenty of information out there, and we're happy to answer questions where we can. The student aid report is something we referred to in the last slide. It is a paper or electronic document that gives you some basic information about your eligibility for federal student aid. It lists your answers or summarizes your answers that you gave to FAFSA. This is what will be sent to schools to which you are applying. On that student aid report, it will show your expected family contribution, your child's year in school, and their enrollment status, and the cost of attendance at the school they plan to attend. The cost of attendance is the cost to go to school for an entire year. It considers tuition, fees, room and board, books, supplies, and transportation. So it may look a little different than the actual tuition fee you see on the college website because it's considering everything. The expected family contribution is a measure of your family's financial strength, and it is calculated according to a formula established by law. Your EFC will display in the upper right-hand corner of your student aid report. If your application is incomplete, it will not show an EFC, but it will tell you what you need to fix that problem so that you then get one. Your EFC is not the amount of money your family will have to pay for college, nor is it the amount of federal student aid you will receive. It is a number used by your school to calculate how much financial aid you are eligible to receive. Award letter or financial aid offer is what your college or career school will determine. They will determine how much financial aid you are eligible to receive, and then they send you an offer. That offer is based on the cost of attendance, your expected family contribution. They subtract one from another to establish the amount of your financial need and how much need-based aid you are eligible to get. Let's see. I've given you a lot of terms and a lot of information, and I mentioned that it was a summary to start with. There are some events that will actually help you file FAFSA or WASPA if you need the help. If this feels overwhelming, feel free to attend one of these virtual events. These will be in our resources as well. They are free and they will help you with your specific financial questions if you have them. As your college and career counselors, we're also happy to answer questions where we can.